Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2015 GMC Sierra 1500, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Roadmaster diode wiring kit. So there's going to be a total of 5 main components that you're going to need to flat tow your Sierra down the road. The first one's going to be your base plate. And the base plate is going to provide us with a solid and reliable connection point. That way we can hook up our tow bar. Tow bar is going to be that second component, and this is going to be the physical link that actually connects your GMC to the back of your motorhome. The third main component is going to be safety cables, and these are there in the event of an unlikely disconnect. These are going to keep your Sierra attached to your motorhome. The fourth main component is going to be tow bar wiring, and that's going to transfer the lighting signals from the back of your motorhome to the back of your GMC, keeping you not only safe but legal as well. And last but not least, the fifth main component is going to be a braking system. And what that braking system is going to do is apply the brakes in your truck whenever you hit the brakes in your motorhome, helping to bring you to a more safe and predictable stop. And then there are a couple more components that aren't absolutely necessary to flat tow your GMC, but do make life a little bit easier whenever you want to flat tow it. And one of them is going to be the Roadmaster automatic battery disconnect. Since these trucks require you to disconnect the battery whenever you flat tow, that could be a hassle sometimes, having to get under there, undo the cables and so on. And with the automatic disconnect, all you're going to have to do is push a button to turn your battery off and on. So really simple, saves a lot of time. The other component would be a charge line kit. And what that's going to do is more or less maintain your truck's battery, or almost trickle charge it whenever you're towing it. And that's important because a lot of braking systems actually rely on the truck's battery power. And if you use it a lot or don't get in your truck and start it up every now and again, whenever you're doing that, you could potentially drain your battery and make it a hassle to jump start it when you get to your destination. And that charge line kit is going to eliminate that. It's going to keep your battery charged. That way when you're ready to disconnect and drive your truck around, you know it's going to start up. So and right here, what we have going on now is a perfect example on how the wiring is going to work. So we have the left turn signal flashing on our motorhome, and it's transferring that turn signal back here to our pickup. It's going to work the same way for the right turn as well as our tail lights and our brake lights. And when it comes to wiring, I think the diode wiring is definitely the way to go, and really for a couple of different reasons. First one being ease of use. So whenever you're ready to hook up, it could be super straightforward. More or less, it's going to have to plug it in. Second one being, it's really clean. So once you have it installed, you're not even going to notice it on your truck. So it's going to help maintain that factory look. And I'm comparing that to the magnetic lighting to be particular. Those magnetic lights, kind of a headache, honestly. What you're going to have to do is stick them to the body of your vehicle and run the wires all the way up to the front, hook up to your motorhome every time you want to flat tow. And that can be real inconvenient, especially whenever you go to disconnect as well. You're going to have to take that all off, find a spot to keep a big bundle of wire and lights, and that's not the case with this. With this one, you just have to plug it in, flat tow, and enjoy yourself. So this setup is also going to use diodes. And what those diodes are going to do is protect your Sierra's factory wiring if a short or an electrical issue were to occur on your motorhome side. So it gives you a little peace of mind knowing that nothing can get damaged. Really important in today's newer vehicles, especially. They have really sophisticated electronic systems, and you don't want to do anything to jeopardize those electronics. And because of the diodes, something you're not going to have to worry about. So one thing I do want to mention with this particular kit, it is not going to come included with the plug or the cable. And so you would use this particular setup if you have a tow bar that comes included with those items. In our case, our customer has the Roadmaster Nighthawk, comes with the cable and the plug, and so really all he needed was the wiring and the diodes. Now the good news is there's a few different kits right off the top of my head that do include the plug as well as the cable. First one's going to give you the wiring, the diodes, the plug and cable, and it's this type of cable. It's a hybrid type, so it's straight on one end and coiled on the other. Then there's another kit that's all the same, except it's going to give you just a straight cable. And you would use these two setups if you had a tow bar with channels in it. That way you could properly utilize those channels, run your wiring through there, and keep it up off the ground. Now, if your tow bar does not have channels, the best option for you would be to get the kit that has the coiled cable like this one here. That way, when you're plugged in, the coils are going to keep it up off of the ground and prevent it from dragging or anything like that, but still give you that extended length that you're going to need whenever you make those wide turns. So whether if you're using the kits that come included with the plug and cable, or you already have them like our customer, they're all going to get hooked up the same way. It's extremely easy. So whenever you're ready to flat tow, lift up that plug cover and push the end in. The other side will get connected to your motorhome 7-way, and really that's all there is to it. So at the end of the day, a wiring kit like this is definitely the way to go, at least in my opinion. It's going to be the easiest and most convenient way to transfer the lighting functions from your motorhome to the back of your GMC. Now, as far as the installation goes, it's really not too bad or complicated. It does eat up a little bit of time though, just from having to route your wiring from the front to the back, but as long as you stay patient, should have no issues getting it done at home. Speaking of which, let's go ahead, pull into the shop, and hook it up together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be here at the front of our truck, and the first thing that we need to do is take one end of our bundle of wire and hook up our plug. Now, we have the front end disassembled because we're doing this the same time that we're installing the base plate, and it's a good idea to do that because you have all this extra room to work. However, you don't have to have this removed. I just wanted to mention that. Now, this particular kit does not come included with this plug. However, you can find these plugs here at eTrailer, or choose a kit that comes included with the plug. In our case, our customer is using this kit today because the tow bar that he purchased actually came included with this plug. So that's convenient. But first thing we're going to do is take the rubber boot, slide that over, kind of just push it out of the way for now. Then we're going to split these wires. So I'll take a pair of snips and cut carefully in between them. We're just going to peel these apart a few inches. And what I like to do is just kind of cut maybe a 1/4 inch of wire off the very end. Kind of gives us a fresh end to work with. And we're going to strip each wire back. That way it will expose the bare wire underneath that insulation. So once that is done, you give the wires a good twist. Make sure they're solid. And then we can grab our plug and start to hook it up. Now, the way the plug works is it's going to be labeled each terminal here. So starting here, that one will be labeled GD for ground. So our white wire will go there. This one will be labeled LT for left turn, so our yellow wire will go to it. This one here, RT for right turn, so our green wire will go there. And this one right here is TM for taillight, so our brown wire will go there. So what you're going to do is take a small Phillips, back out those set screws, take the corresponding wire, push it down into the terminal, and then just tighten down the set screw. So I'll do that same thing for our remaining wires. So this is what the back of the plug is going to look like once all your wiring is hooked up. And once that is complete, you can take your rubber boot, slide that over. I'm just going to kind of let the plug hang for now until we get the bumper and everything back up, and we can actually mount it. But until then, what I'm going to do is route the rest of our wiring harness towards the back of the truck. So I'll do that now and then show you the path that I took to get back there. So our wiring is routed just along through here, and it's a little tricky to see, but it's essentially just on top of our frame rail. And when you're doing this, you want to make sure to avoid any hot or moving parts. So the wire is just going to run up along through here, and if you kind of pull back the wheel well liner a little bit, you can see where that wire drops down, and you want to secure it along the way using some of the zip ties. And then if you see this bundle of factory wiring, our new wiring is going to follow that right through here, where I have it dropping down right here in this area. So right here, what we're going to need to do is ground out the white wire. And it just so happens that there's a factory ground right there. So that's where we're going to ground this wire out. So kind of just mark the distance that we need. And what we're going to do is very carefully cut just that white wire. And this side that runs to the plug, you can just peel that back some. And we're going to strip back the insulation. Give it a good twist. Take this ring terminal, slide it over the bare end of the wire, and crimp it down. Push it out of the way. Then we can remove this bolt using a 10mm socket. We're going to take that bolt, push it through our ring terminal, and then re-secure it. Now that that's secured, what we can do, the other end of our white wire that's still attached to the bundle of wiring, we're just going to pull that completely off. We are going to want to hang on to this wire because we are going to use it a little later on during the installation. So I continued to route our wiring towards the back of the truck, and this portion here I simply just followed this factory wiring harness. Again, just zip tying it along the way. And continues on. And then about in this area here, I actually took our wiring and pushed it towards the center of our truck. So we went on the inside of the frame rail, if that makes sense. So out here we have the wiring on the outside frame rail. I pushed it over the top of the frame rail and continued it along the inside portion of our frame rail. So here underneath our vehicle, there's where our wiring comes along the inside of our frame rail and just continues straight back. And at this point, what I did was separate the green wire from our yellow and brown wire, and that's because the green wire will get ran over to the passenger side. The yellow wire just drops down right here, and what I did is just take that piece of white wire that we removed and kind of ran this with our yellow and brown wire. So we'll just let that hang for now. So we have our white wire and our green wire now that's running over to the passenger side. So that white and green wire is just going to get routed kind of behind our bumper. So it just kind of follows along through here. Comes up and over our frame and drops down right here. Now at this point what we can do is go up top and get our taillights removed. That way we can feed our wiring into the taillight pockets. So to get our taillights removed, you can open up your tailgate, and we're going to have two fasteners here. We're going to pull those out using a T20 Torx bit. And then what we can do is grab our taillight, kind of carefully wiggle it, pull it out. Then we're going to disconnect all of our bulbs. So these are all quarter turns. So you can just take it, rotate it quarter turn, and it'll pop right out. So now we can set our light off to the side and repeat this process over on the passenger side of our truck. So now we can take our wiring, and we're going to have an opening here in our taillight pocket. We'll take that wiring and just kind of push it up through there. And then we can pull out all of the slack. So I went ahead and cut our wires to length here. And then I strip back the insulation. And now we can just prepare these wires. So we're going to take the white and the brown wire. We're going to twist those together. Make sure you get them nice and tight. We're going to take the yellow terminal there. Place that over the ends of the wire. And crimp it down. For our yellow wire, we're going to be using a blue Spade terminal. What I did now was just test our wiring, our factory wiring, to figure out the functions. And I just pulled off this wire loom here to expose the bare wires underneath. This is the very top bulb. So this bulb here is at the top of the tail light. What I came up with was the brown wire is going to be our tail light signal. And the green wire, we're going to use that for our stop and turn. So what we need to do is cut those wires. And we're going to strip back all four ends of the insulation there. And each end, once we strip it back, is going to receive one of these blue Spade terminals. So we'll put that over and crimp it down. So I'll do that same thing for our three remaining ends here. So here's what our factory wiring looks like once it's been prepped for our diodes. With that said, we can take our diodes and get them hooked up. So the side that says out with one terminal, that's going to get plugged into the ends here closest to our bulb. So we'll go with the brown wire first. These are just going to get matched up color for color. So the other end of the brown wire will go into the other side of the diode. Doesn't matter which terminal you choose. Same thing for our green wire. Side that says out, close to the bulb. And again, color for color. Now we can grab our new wiring, and since the factory brown wire is our tail light signal, we're going to take the brown and white wire, that Spade connector, and place it over this terminal there. And since the green wire is going to control our stop and turn, we're going to take our new yellow wire and connect it to this diode. So now what we can do is just secure our diodes. If you peel back the two-sided sticky tape on the back of each diode, what I'm going to do is just stick them together, help stop them from bouncing around. And I took our little bit of extra wire here and just kind of zip tied it up to the factory harness. And from there we can reinstall our tail lights the opposite way. So these quarter turns will kind of fall into place, rotate them, and they'll lock into position. And over here on the passenger side, we essentially hooked everything up the exact same way for the most part. The factory wire colors and functions are going to be identical to the other side. Factory brown will be our taillight, and the green will be for our stop and turn. So we got the diodes hooked up like so, and the new white wire, this one here, is going to get plugged into this diode with the brown factory wires, since the white wire is our taillight signal, and the new green wire is going to get plugged into the diodes that have the factory green wires, since that controls our stop and turn. Now it's a good idea to test our wiring to make sure that it is functioning properly. So I went ahead and plugged into a tester box. We can turn on our tail lights. We'll try our left turn signal, our right turn signal, and our brakes. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the Roadmaster diode wiring kit on our 2015 GMC Sierra 1500.